Good morning and welcome to everyone who is here with us live for this launch of National Activity Providers and Professionals Week 2023 here in the UK. We're very excited here at NAPA head office this morning. Really pleased to be here. Good morning, Natalie. How are you doing?
Good morning, Hilary. Very excited for what's looking to be a fantastic, phenomenal week for activity providers all around the world here this week.
Thank you for being here with me. And we've got lots of exciting news to share. But first of all, we just want to extend a very warm welcome to everyone, to our international partners as well, our friends over the pond in the United States who are also celebrating NAPA Week this week. And thank you to all of you for being here in the UK, for taking the time on your busy mornings to stop and to join us for this live launch. I just also want to say that there will be lots of opportunity throughout the week to connect with us, but also for you to connect with each other. Do stay in touch with each other over this week and drop in and out of the live sessions, which we're going to be telling you all about. Please tell us what you've got planned. Please tag us in your social media posts, your photographs, because you could be in with a chance of winning a mystery prize worth about £100. So please do tag us, tell us what you're up to, and we will share today's winner this afternoon on our social media platform. So get tagging us this morning. We'll be sharing our plans for the week, as I said, and we'll be chatting with David Neves, who's the director of the Daily Sparkle. The Daily Sparkle are our main sponsor for NAPA Week 23. We are very grateful for their generous support and love the opportunity to work with the Daily Sparkle. We've had a long relationship with them over the years. They'll be sharing what they've been up to, and also we'll be chatting generally about reminiscence, how it's a supportive practice for activity providers and their work. So we have lots going on, don't we, Natalie, this week? And we're going to wrap things up on Friday afternoon with an online disco, an 80s themed disco. And I did find it quite amusing yesterday. I was chatting to my son about my busy week ahead. And I said, and we've got an 80s disco on Friday. What on earth will I wear? And he said, what you always wear. Which I thought, I didn't want to take that as I took that as a compliment. But today, of course, I am sporting my NAPA Week hoodie, available for everybody to wear to purchase if you'd like one, or a NAPA Week t-shirt, all available on our dedicated webpage. So first of all, I just want to say some additional thank yous, if that's okay, before we get chatting. The first of the thank yous are to our supporting partners, to Care England, to the National Care Forum, and to Scottish Care, who supported us last year for our first ever NAPA Week, and this year, and really their support really is appreciated, and all of their members obviously are very welcome to join us throughout this week for our live events. I'd also like to thank our guests. Dr. Hayley Lewis will be joining us from Halo Psychology tomorrow. Wednesday, we've got Lakeland Dairies and Jean Catanash, Charlotte and Nelco from Belong Villages, and Colleen and Alyssa from NAPA US on Thursday. So lots happening, which we'll tell you a bit more about in a bit. We couldn't do any of what we do here at NAPA without our members, without our supporters and our partners. So thank you to each and every one of you. You're all amazing. But just to take a few minutes really to think about this incredible profession that we support here at NAPA. Activity providers and the activity provider profession, as we very important to us that we champion that profession, has never been so strong. And we're delighted to support you in all that you do, to support your practice, but we're also very proud of you, and we want to share the great work that you do globally with all of our friends nationally and internationally this week. You really don't shy away from challenges. As a profession, you're resilient and you're creative, and you get up every day and you make a difference to people's lives every single day. So thank you, first and foremost, from everybody here at NAPA for everything you do every single day for the people that you support. And we know that it might have taken a pandemic for people around us to appreciate the activity provision profession. But we've always known here at NAPA just how special you all are and how important it is to recognise and celebrate all that you do. You're part of this profession that's quite vibrant. It's quite creative. You know, you all day, every day, you have to think up new ideas, new ways of working. And I take my hat off to you for doing that, because it isn't easy. I think whenever we do our national consultations, which are running, we do them all the time in terms of developing our services, our resources, etc. The one thing that we hear again and again and again from people out there in the field is, please just keep doing what you're doing. We just need support. We need resources. And so that's what we're going to do, is we're going to keep on doing whatever you need to make sure that your practice is as positive as possible, but also that you're all looking after yourselves. We want you to take some time this week, some time out to listen to some top tips about self-care, looking after you, as well as obviously supporting the people that you look after every single day. And we also want you to share not only some of the great things that you do, but some of the challenges as well. So let us know what the things are that you need to help you in your practice each and every day. We're here for you. We're your association, and we hope that over this next year we can be available to you through activity support service that Natalie manages, through our activity providers advisory group. So you can find out more about that. Please let us know. But also through those surveys and consultations, please keep telling us what you need. The NAP theme this year and the NAPA year of is the NAPA Year of Connected Communities. You'll notice the brand change for January, and the launch of the Year of Connected Communities is this week. As you know, as I've said, everything we do is in consultation with activity providers and NAPA members, and this has come from you, from feedback from you, and from people that you support, their families and friends, that actually over the last couple of years, it's been quite difficult to connect with communities for all sorts of reasons, and that people are really feeling the need to reconnect in a range of different ways with their local, national and global communities. And what we mean by a connected community here at NAPA is that you have the opportunity to build relationships, new relationships, sustain relationships, and enable people to continue to feel part of their community, but also for your settings to feel like a community too. So there'll be lots happening throughout the year, our conference, but also, of course, the coronation, which is a great opportunity for us to connect with our communities again, and all come together to really, really celebrate. And we will be having a coronation challenge, as we did with the Jubilee, and there'll be £1,000 to win. So for the challenge for the Connected Communities Coronation Care Home of the Year. But you will hear a lot more about that through our comms channels over the next few months, and of course in NAPA News. So I just want to now really just to kind of take a few minutes to think about what we've got going on this week. It really is quite a celebration. Natalie, do you want to just share a little bit about what we've got planned, please?
Yes, I just want to say thank you as well, Hilary, for it was quite emotional then when you were thanking all the activity professionals and providers out there, because it's not often that we hear that word, you know, thank you for everything that you do. So that was quite emotional to hear. So thank you for saying that. I'm sure everyone watching will agree. So what have we got planned for this week? Well, I'm just going to keep saying this is happening, that's happening, and be very excited and joyful and passionate as I always am. But we'd love you to join us tomorrow, as you mentioned, for a special Tea Tuesday. It's a chance to sit down, grab a cuppa and come and listen and join Hilary and Dr. Hayley Lewis to discuss wellbeing for activity providers, yourselves and professionals, for top tips for self-care, you know, avoiding stress, burnout. We all know what that can look like for 2023. So the live is at 2:30 p.m. tomorrow. It's on Facebook here and on YouTube, and we would welcome you to put your questions to Dr. Hayley Lewis beforehand or live if you wish. We'd love to hear from you. You know, what tips can you take away to not be as stressed, or to look at the self-care that you could possibly give yourself throughout the rest of the year. Then Wednesday, I'm very excited for this one. It's something new. So on Wednesday, the 25th of January at 2:30 p.m. again, we've got Working Together Positive Practices for Activity and Catering Teams. What a great collaboration. And we're working with Lakeland Dairies and Charlotte, the Experience Day Coordinator, and Nelco, the Catering Manager from Belong. Following a national consultation with you, activity providers and catering teams across the UK, NAPA and Lakeland and Belong will be sharing positive practice examples relating to food-based activity provisions. So that's tomorrow. That's Wednesday the 25th at 2:30, and again we'll be live on Facebook and YouTube. And then Thursday, myself and Terry Eakins will be sharing NAPA's top tips for community connections, and that will be in the morning. That's at 10 a.m. I'd love you to come along. Please do send us any questions beforehand for that live. We'd love to hear from all of you if you have any ideas even that you're sharing that's happening with how you connect with your communities since the pandemic. And then same time or same day, Thursday at 6 p.m. we are so excited. We're connecting with our global community. Yes, we're going global with our partners NAP in the United States. That's 6 p.m. To discuss global perspective on community connections. So again, that'll be live at 6 p.m. on Facebook pages, or on NAP's, sorry, not on ours. It'll be on NAP's, but the link will be there for you to come and join. So we hope you'll attend that. And then last but least, a chance for me to get dressed up. I know all my NAPA colleagues will be rolling their eyes right now, but I love nothing more than being dressed up for an event or an occasion. And I'm so ready for this. On Friday, we will be having our Disco Tropicana online, some 80s music. I certainly will be dressed up. So if you want to see how I'm going to look, please do come and join us. We'll be live from 3 p.m. and you will need to book your free ticket. It's free. That's it. No cost. Free ticket on Eventbrite. And we'd love you to bring all the individuals you support, make a really big fun event of it, get staff involved, you know, something fun towards the end of January as well. And then we have a series of free resources available on our dedicated NAP Week webpage on the NAPA website. Please do download them. Please do share them with your friends and colleagues. And we will also be sharing them live at each event. So do join in. I think that's a lot there, Hilary, to take in.
There is a lot happening.
An amazing.
There's a lot happening. There's a lot to look forward to, and with regard to the resources, we have created a toolkit all about connected communities. There it is for you. Look, that's what it looks like. So that's available on our NAP Week page on the website, and we've also created an activity planner that we're going to be giving away as well today for those of you who like to get ahead of yourselves and plan for the entire year. We know how organised all our activity providers are out there. Can't wait for this disco. It will be here before we know it, won't it? And we'll be all dressed up and yeah, looking like Madonna. So, and thank you so much for Majestic Care Luxury Care Homes for sponsoring the disco. It's going to be fab. So looking forward to that. But lots happening before then. So without further delay, I would really love to welcome David Neffs, who is sitting patiently backstage. Here he is. Look, hello, David. Oh, you're on mute, David.
Hi all, great to be here.
Lovely to see you. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good. So first of all, huge thank you to Daily Sparkle for supporting the week. As I said, we have a long relationship with the Daily Sparkle, and it's lovely to see how you've developed your services as well. Obviously, how long is it now since you came to the Daily Sparkle? Must be a year or two, is it?
Yeah, personally, a little over a year.
Little over a year. So you're settled in now?
Yeah.
Good. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about why you're supporting NAP Week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we, as Hilary says, we've got a long relationship with NAPA, and you know their mission ties really closely with ours. Our slogan is the activity coordinator's friend. So this week, celebrating activity providers is kind of really aligned with what we do and what we try to provide. We understand the huge positive impacts that reminiscence and meaningful activities can provide to elderly people and those specifically living with dementia, which is where our resources are focused. And really, this can only be delivered to residents and incorporated into care homes with the help of dedicated, caring activity providers. So supporting and celebrating you all is really at the heart of what we do, and why we were so happy to be able to sponsor this week.
Thank you. And I think what's so lovely to hear in that is that obviously, although you're quite new to this field, is your passion as well and your enthusiasm. Tell us a bit more about the Daily Sparkle and kind of what you do for those, if there is anybody out there who hasn't heard of the Daily Sparkle. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what you provide for activity coordinators.
Yeah, absolutely. So we provide top quality, professionally created activities for older people and specifically people living with dementia. And they make it quick and easy to provide stimulation, interest and fun every day in a care home setting. Our tools are person-centered and they're great at relationship building. So it's really interesting hearing earlier, Hilary, talking about the theme for the year around connected communities, because we consistently hear from our members that the Daily Sparkle helps build those connections, helps build real person-centered insights and connections within a home and build that community. So, again, really pleased to be supporting that in 2023. So in practice, what does that look like? Well, we have a few of our award-winning newspaper resources. So our core product is the Daily Sparkle, which is a daily publication of 5 articles, a quiz, along with some carers' notes to give context on those articles, as well as questions, which really help stimulate that discussion, which I mentioned earlier. We also have a weekly Sparkle, which is kind of a best of for the week. And that comes through to our subscribers, it professionally printed, along with a monthly magazine. So that's kind of the core of our product, and that product has existed for over 10 years now and has been hugely popular and successful within care home settings. It's still as effective today as it was back then. We've also got a library of activities that come along with that. So every month we create a curated activities guide for the month, a booklet, and we have an activities bank, so a library of fantastic activities available to our members throughout the year, alongside an app. So we've got an app which is really useful for using with residents on tablets or digital tables. We've heard it work really well, and obviously it has the Daily Sparkle, our core product. But it also has, more quizzes, interactive quizzes, music quizzes, sound quizzes, alongside our video resources, video and audio content, and the access to the activity bank, which I mentioned, with all of the resources and activities that are in there.
Brilliant. And I think one of the things that, we're going to go on to talk about kind of reminiscence and the point of reminiscence, but it really is the foundation of good activity provision, I believe. I've always believed. And I think at NAPA, we know, it's great to work with experts like yourself that really have such a wealth of experience and resource around reminiscence. So, thank you for all you do to support activity providers as well. So if anybody listening now wants to get in touch, tell us a little bit about how we can get in touch with the Daily Sparkle.
Yeah, I think the best way is to take a look at our website, so dailysparkle.co.uk. I think it'll be shared in the chat, and we offer a free trial. We offer a free, no commitment 6-week trial for you to experience all of our resources, both the physical printed resources, which will be sent through to your home, alongside the digital resources and the app, which I mentioned earlier. You can also follow us on the various social networks that you might use. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we'll be interacting with NAPA and NAP Week throughout the week on those platforms. So I'd love to see you there.
Brilliant. Thank you, David. So I think we're starting to get some questions coming in, which is fantastic. So the first question is from Kelly. I think this is a good place to start, actually, Kelly. Thank you for this. How important is reminiscence to activity program planning. That's a really great place to start, I think. Thank you for that. Any thoughts on that, David? Do you want to just say a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we think it's critical. We think it's vital to activity planning, and it's great to hear, Hilary, you echo that. Reminiscence is really a key tool in the quest to provide person-centered care, which is really what we're looking for. That's best practice, and our ability to provide that person-centered care is really crucially dependent on our knowledge of that individual that we're caring for. Yeah. What we know about their life is going to determine if we're able to give them that person-centered care. And reminiscence just sets the ideal kind of background, the ideal backdrop for a person to relax and share, those details about their earlier life. And it's in sharing those details that, quite naturally through reminiscence practice, that we can get to know that person. So yeah, it's really the Daily Sparkle is a tool. It's a simple but really effective tool, without effort or stress, to develop and create that relationship, as I said earlier, and create those connected communities, building trust and affection between the individuals that are participating in the reminiscence practice. And that makes all the difference, really, in a person's care experience. Knowing that the person that is caring for them listens, cares, knows them, really helps them on that care journey. So yeah, we think it's core, and that's why we're so passionate about what we do.
Absolutely, and that absolutely comes across. And I think sometimes when we're talking to activity providers, sometimes there is a nervousness about reminiscence. There is a concern perhaps that somebody might not have necessarily the resources or the skills to be able to respond appropriately. But of course, what we say is that actually we do this all the time. We're all reflecting on our lives all the time, aren't we? And if you have those resources that are available to you through the Daily Sparkle, through NAPA, there are lots of organisations doing incredible resources around reminiscence. There's lots of information available. Actually, have a go and then get in touch with either NAPA or the Daily Sparkle. Just give us a ring and say, we're trying this out. We're not really sure where to begin with reminiscence. That actually just have a go, get started. You can't, I think people worry about perhaps people sharing information that is sad or distressing. But actually, as we know, people take great pleasure as well in reminiscence, and not to be scared of the sadness. I think this is something that comes up quite a bit as part of life review. It's really important, isn't it, that people get a chance to look back on the sad times too. And I know, when even just talking about my childhood or early years at uni or years at, when I first started work, it is emotional to look backwards, isn't it? But actually that's quite therapeutic too, being able to have that space and time with somebody that wants to listen. That's okay. So I think, please don't be, for any of those activity providers, particularly who are quite new to this profession, please don't be put off by the possibility that somebody might become distressed or emotional during a reminiscence session, because that's a really important part of making connections, isn't it, of that person-centered, person-led approach that you just talked about, David. Yeah, thank you for that. Do another question coming up here? This one, oh brilliant, this one's from Jim. Here we go. This is exactly what we were just saying. I can find that reminiscence can be quite a depressing activity. People share such sadness, and I want them to have fun. How can we make reminiscence fun? Well, of course we can. Do you want to anything there, David, in terms of what you were saying? Maybe the quizzes sound like perhaps a good place to start. But
yeah, the quizzes are fantastic fun. Yeah, I think Jim's point is worth kind of mentioning. We always advise that first of all, when compiling a resident's life history, asking the family for any kind of negative memories they might have, which could be triggered through reminiscence, and just to be mindful of that. But generally speaking, we see reminiscence practice as provoking real joy. As Hilary's saying, you look back on those times in your life, and once you've kind of eliminated any potential black spots, reminiscence is really fun, enjoyable, engaging. you as activity providers really have the opportunity to bring some sunshine into residents' lives and the residents that you care for. You can really make their day. And if you bring some humour, some playfulness into the exchanges that come along with the stories and the reminiscences, that can be a truly invaluable gift. So yeah, we have lots in our resources that help make it fun. I mean, Hilary touched on the quizzes, which are immensely popular, and there are quizzes in every daily edition of the Daily Sparkle, as well as on our app. More interactive quizzes, sounds, etc. They're hugely popular. We also think that making reminiscent sessions multi-sensory can be really helpful. Whether that's bringing certain props, so an orange, for the smell, or a scarf for the touch, or some old soap, that go along with the reminiscent session, are relevant to what's being discussed. That can really help to enliven the imagination and those memories, and bring things to life, and make that experience really, really joyful for residents. And all of our carers notes that I've mentioned before have a suggestion for at least one prop per day, one prop per reminiscent session that could be brought along to really bring that experience to life. And I think also music, music is such a wonderful reminiscence tool, and we all know brings so much joy to our own lives, and helps us kind of remember back to happy times. So using music, poetry, proverbs, they set a happy tone in reminiscence sessions. And yeah, we find generally reminiscence to be I think the best word is a joyful activity.
Yeah, and that it can absolutely be uplifting. I think that's really, really important. And I loved what you said about starting out with, knowing the person, really, because without that, we are a little bit in the dark, aren't we? So anything we can do around life story work, and, first of all, before we get into some of those perhaps uncharted waters, we don't know everything about everybody, do we? We're getting to know each other all the time. And so as much as we can know beforehand, I think is really, really important. Natalie's back now. Hello, Natalie. We lost you for a few minutes. Hello there. Did you want to add anything to this one? This one is about perhaps perceptions that reminiscence can be quite a depressing activity, but actually, people want to provide fun activities. Anything that you wanted to perhaps add to that?
Yeah, I think it is a fair point that Jim was making around it can sometimes be perceived as a depressing activity, but if you involve the people around them, so I've quite often seen reminiscence where it brings couples back together, through reminiscing and talking about moments that sometimes might have been just forgotten or misplaced somewhere in our busy brain life. But I've also seen the side of it where it can be fun, and we reminisce every single day in our lives. I was at a train station the other day going past it, and I was like, oh God, do you remember when I got on the wrong train? And that's the train station I got off at, and I chuckled to myself. We have these little moments, songs come on, as David was saying, and I like David's point about playfulness as well, and the multisensory approach, whether that's visual, whether that's through the smell, the taste, the touch, it's all there, the audio. And in most cases, you shouldn't really be seeing that kind of negative response, because reminiscence, if it's done correctly, which is where you can ring the NAPA support line should you want any support around that, if it's done correctly, then 9 times out of 10 it's a most pleasurable, enjoyable experience. And the magic connections, you can find them little gold nuggets that possibly wouldn't come in a general conversation. It brings them forward. So if you need any support, then by all means, please contact us on the NAPA support line service, and I'll be more than happy to discuss that further with you.
Brilliant. Thank you both. Another question, I think we've got something else coming in. Let me just check. This is from Gizdam. How does the Daily Sparkle support activity providers when engaging people who are cared for in bed? And of course, we're hearing on our activity support service more and more actually that people are trying to adapt activities for people with very advanced dementia, complicated care and support needs. But yes, even more so people who are perhaps nearing end of life. Anything in particular there, David, in terms of Daily Sparkle resources?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I was just getting a bit of feedback there. I think you'll find that some residents, either through choice or necessity, will spend most of their time in bed. And for these residents, issues of isolation, boredom, they're a big concern. And we offer various best practice guides on our platform. So best practice guides on one-to-ones, best practice guides on bedroom visits, lots of ideas on how to support residents, whether through music, photos, and of course the Daily Sparkle. I think one of the real strengths of the Daily Sparkle is its versatility. It's just as powerful in group settings as it is one-on-one. And as I mentioned earlier, we offer an app which can be accessed on tablet devices and can bring that that content and that joy into a resident's room. I'd say also in terms of residents that are maybe at various stages of dementia, we partnered with Jackie Poole last year to build a PALS, a pool activity levels guide for residents living with dementia, which sets out how each of our activities, whether it's the Daily Sparkle or various activities, quizzes, etc., can be used for residents living at different stages of dementia. So I'd also point people towards that as a good guide. If people are perhaps in their room because they're in latter stages of dementia, and various sensory activities that we offer that would be more suited to those individuals.
Thank you, and thank you for mentioning Jackie. We are big fans of Jackie here at NAPA, and absolutely agree that for those of you who don't know about the PAL, the pool activity level, it is a really helpful way to ensure that your engagement practice, your activity and engagement programs are really catered towards the needs of people who are living with dementia. So, very happy to provide more information on that. If anybody would be interested, just drop us a note or to David as well, and we can take you through how to use the pool activity level, the PAL instrument. Brilliant, thank you for that. Next question. This question is from Elijah. I use quizzes as a reminiscence tool, but I often find that it can be difficult to adapt quizzes to meet individual needs. Any advice? Obviously, quizzes is a big part of what you do. Anything in particular there, David, around quizzes, because they can be controversial, can't they?
Yeah, they can be. I mean, we had similar feedback from our members over the last year, actually. So quizzes are a hugely popular part of our resources, and in an attempt to make them more inclusive or more suited to a given individual, we've recently started providing star ratings against each of our quizzes. So this offers a clue, offers some guidance to the activity provider of the difficulty rating of that particular quiz. We have 3 levels, so you can kind of find what's well suited to that individual. I think another thing that we see work well is running a quiz as a group session. So residents don't feel pressurized to answer a given question or even any questions at all, but are involved, observing the quiz, listening, and obviously contributing with answers. So I think that can work quite well in kind of taking the pressure off and making sure that there's something that works for everyone. We have our resident AC, Jan, and she has a few things that she likes to bring to quizzes, to make them kind of very suited to an individual. Simple ideas like one she does is an alphabet quiz. So you find something that is really well suited to that resident, something that they will know a lot about. They might have a farming background. Jan is down in Dorset, and something beginning with A, something beginning with B, something beginning with C, kind of like really specific quizzes, almost like adapted to that individual, making those kind of quiz type content, which works so well for people, very specific to the individual. And And again, I kind of point people towards our Pals guide, which kind of talks through how to make the daily Sparkle quizzes work well for people at different levels of cognitive ability.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. I love the idea of having an individualized quiz that's based on someone's life story, or their interests and their skills. That's a fab idea.
It's a really good trick.
It's a great idea.
Cool.
I mean, we know, don't we, though, as well, that people do like the competitive nature of quizzes. There's something, isn't there, about winning that people do enjoy. I don't know if either of you, Natalie, if you have anything to say about that why do people love quizzes so much, do you think? What is it about quizzes particularly?
I think it's all about life learning again, isn't it? We keep coming back to this conversation around, learning new things, no matter what the age of an individual is. And I always use the bonsai tree scenario, you might not often want to have a session around bonsais, but I tell you, you put a talk on about bonsai trees and have an expert come in, and you'll find that your room just gets full because someone wants to learn something new. I think it brings people together. But reflecting on the quizzes as well and how you make that inclusive, don't forget you've got audio, you've also got picture quizzes. There's quizzes that you can do with touch and smell. So don't just think about the actual quizzes when it comes to questions direct, or whether it comes to a quiz night. You can certainly do quizzes on a one-to-one basis, and incorporate reminiscence into that. And as David said, which I absolutely love that idea, David, of using the ABC technique. And if you've got someone that's had the history of farming, as David mentioned, and you're looking at objects that will be around the farm that begin with A, that person might not necessarily be at the point where a direct question might be too much information to take in and retain, but however, visually touching, what they could see on a tray might be also beneficial. So there's lots of different elements that you can put into a quiz. It doesn't need to just be a flat, direct question.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, in terms of the pub quiz style, that's what we think of, isn't it, when we think of a quiz? But actually, in terms of get creative with your quizzes and think a little bit differently about how we use quizzes. And I think there is something as well, I think, which is, I mean, I do it myself. My kids like the I've forgotten what it's called, that's on at tea time. Tipping point, is it? There is something quite exciting when you answer a question and everybody goes, how do you know that? It's kind of like a surprise, isn't it, that comes, and everybody, how do you know that about that? I wouldn't have known that you knew that about that. And that in itself kind of sparks a conversation about why somebody knows something that other people wouldn't expect them to know. And it's that element of we're always learning about each other, which I think that's what fascinates me about quizzes. Isn't so much kind of what I know, it's what other people know the answer to, and how that enables us again to feeds back into really positive care planning processes, doesn't it? Person-centered care, feeding that information back into the care team, that information we're finding all the time.
Yeah, I think it's quite empowering for residents. It really builds confidence, and we see that even in the core reminiscence practice. Like a really good mindset to bring to it is like, teach me. I don't know about these things that are being mentioned here. Kind of who can tell me, and obviously that helps build people's self-esteem and confidence in that they are able to kind of teach you something like as a younger person. So it's a good approach to bring to it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, actually, even from an intergenerational perspective, that, what our answers might be quite different based on our culture, based on our age, based on, our interests. And that is a great way, isn't it? It's empowering, but it's also a great way to connect communities, actually. Funny that. Brilliant. Do we have any more questions, Gianna? I think there might be one more. Is it the Parveen? Yes, Parveen. A lot of reminiscence resources assume everyone is over 80. Good point. Do NAPA and Daily Sparkle have resources or tips for supporting reminiscence with younger people? I think this is something that, when I started out as an activity provider a long time ago, very long time ago, there was perhaps a certain type of reminiscence that we did around wartime and particular types of music, etc. And of course, that has really, really changed, hasn't it? David, do you want to just say what kinds of resources you've got that might be of interest to younger people that have care support needs, or people with dementia?
Yeah, I mean, the resident profile in care homes is moving all the time, and actually, a lot of the new content that we're developing now is focused on, 60s and 70s. I think, as you say, Hilary, kind of 10 years ago or so, it might have been more kind of post-war period, 50s. But yeah, we're seeing that resident profile getting younger, and we're moving with that. And I think one of the strengths of the Daily Sparkle, of Reminiscence as a practice, is its variety. There is something there for everyone. And generally, no matter kind of what age, asking questions and this practice of reminiscence, which is really built upon asking, an individual a question. That's a good thing to do. Kind of, no matter what a person's age, you're building that insight, you're building that relationship, that connection with the person, whether that's within a quiz or something more conversational. And obviously, all of our articles are, they have the accompanying notes to provide context on what this topic is to the activity provider normally, but equally to the resident. It gives some content for and context for a younger generation. So yeah, I think that would be our thoughts on reminiscence for different age groups.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that. And I think one of the things that has really stayed with me, I remember the very first, maybe this is my top tip for today, but the very first reminiscence training I ever went on, which I don't say the year, but it was probably nearly 30 years ago, was with my reminiscence guru, who was and still is my reminiscence guru, a woman called Pam Schweitzer, who ran Age Exchange for many years in Greenwich, but is now the director of the European Reminiscence Network. And she said to me, just say, tell me about. You don't have to ask a direct question about where you went to school or how many brothers and sisters you had or what their names were, but tell me about your school days. Tell me about your mum. Tell me about growing up in Denmark. Tell me about, and you can't really get that answer wrong because it's not specific, it's really open, but it is a reminiscence-based question. I use it in my parenting with my kids. Tell me about your day. Tell me about your Saturday night. Tell me about, how, and with my friends, tell me how you feel about that. So it's not a specific how, where, who, when, but it's a very lovely way of opening a conversation that's quite warm and safe and friendly, but doesn't set somebody up to fail. And I think when you were talking then about, this, we all reminisce, this is for everybody of any age, sometimes just knowing where to start. And I think, to share that little thing that just came, I'm sat here reminiscing about my reminiscence training all those years ago, just to share what worked for you, what worked for us as activity providers, as people who have this experience of working with people directly. What worked for you with reminiscence? Ask each other, share your ideas and your thoughts, maybe in the chat now. How do you get that conversation started? Where do you begin to reminisce with the people that you support? We'd love to hear more about that, and maybe we could share your ideas with the Daily Sparkle, and they can put them on their page as well. So it's a little bit of a joint response. Let us know, how do you embark on reminiscence? Where do you start? So thank you, David. Thank you very, very much for joining us this morning. And I said for all of your support with NAP Week. That was fantastic. Obviously, any other questions that come through the chat will direct you to David and his team at the Daily Sparkle. So please do put your questions, your comments in the chat. So I think we're pretty much out of time. I just want to remind everybody to stay with us all week. So and tomorrow's session, 2:30 with Dr. Lewis. I think we're very, very good at prioritising everybody else's well-being as activity providers, but let's also prioritise our own. Let's hear from Hayley about how do we avoid stress and burnout in a job that, we're not used to sitting down. We want to be up and about and doing. How do we look after ourselves? So please join us here tomorrow at 2:30. Please keep sharing your comments, your ideas, your activities, everything that you're up to throughout the day today for a chance to win that mystery prize this afternoon. We're really, really keen to hear your feedback. We're going to be launching a NAP Week evaluation feedback survey on Friday at the end of the week. So please do let us know your thoughts and ideas for the year of connected communities. And we have the planner for you as well. So as well as the toolkit, this is the planner for the year. It's everything you need really to plan your year of connected communities for 2023. So do download that. That's free for you to take away. So that's it for now. I'm aware of the time. It's 11:15. I'm sure you've got busy days ahead. Thank you both, David and Natalie, for your fantastic answers and for joining us this morning. Have a wonderful NAP week. Take good care and bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.